Hey, what's up everyone? Today let's dive into Until Dawn, specifically the remake that was released last year, but also just the game in general with a bit of a comparison between the original and the remake towards the end. So Until Dawn was initially released back in August of 2015 from Supermassive Games and has since become kind of a sensation with a VR spin-off, a prequel, a spiritual successor in The Quarry, this remake, and now a movie adaptation of it all within a decade of it coming out. I'm not sure how inventive this was at the time that it came out, but it definitely felt like a kind of game that I hadn't experienced much of before I played it. It was a clear celebration of slasher horror movies with an emphasis on cinematic storytelling and just overall cinematic language that it uses throughout the game. It also centers around a pretty big cast with some names you might recognize like Hayden Panettiere, Rami Malek, Brett Dalton, and maybe my favorite aspect of the whole game, which is the role of the analyst named Dr. Hill, played by Peter Stormare, who reprises his role in the movie. He shows up after each chapter of the game to kind of go over the choices that you've made, and it adds this layer of mystery and suspense to everything going on, and I think that really added a lot to the experience. And it's choices that is maybe the most important element that the game really makes a point of. From the very start of the game, you constantly go back and forth between character perspectives, and you're very frequently making choices of what actions you want them to do, what kind of dialogue you want them to say, what attitude they should kind of act upon, and that's where most of the gameplay comes in. I've played this game a few times, and the best way I would describe it is that it's kind of this interactive cinematic adventure. You're never going to be in any kind of like heavy combat situations, and whenever there's an important action sequence, they tend to be shown in cutscenes rather than having you like play through them. There are quick time events featured pretty prominently in the game, which I think I remember being pretty bad at when I played the game the first time, but this time around it felt pretty simple to get through them. And the last thing to note is that the choices, matter a lot in this game. They point that out to you also up front, that there are hundreds of possible endings to the game, which is kind of crazy to think about, and that any character death is going to be permanent. So to really think about those choices before you make them. After playing this a few times, I have noticed some big differences, but I've also seen a lot of things kind of play out the exact same way, so I can't really say for sure how impactful the choices are, but I believe them when they say that there is 100 different endings. So yeah, I think I've gone long enough kind of explaining what the game is, so I'll just say here that I absolutely love this game. I don't think I ever realized just how much I did until the movie was announced, and I knew immediately that I was gonna have to go watch it as soon as possible. I was a little bummed out to find that it wasn't going to be connected as much to the game as I would have liked it to, but it's still pretty cool that they even made a movie for it in the first place. And the reason I do love this game so much is because of how much it does feel like a movie. It's just way more satisfying playing this than like any other FMV that I've played or any kind of interactive movie. They all kind of lack something that this game doesn't. But I've still rarely seen a game like pull it off in the same way that this game does. Even with Supermassive's other games, they never really pulled me in the way that this one does. The story is really easy to get invested in. It has a really fun, like snowy cabin in the woods setting. There's a ton of creepy ambiance and atmosphere, and I do enjoy all of the characters for the most part. Some of them are a little annoying and the dialogue can be extremely cringy, but that's kind of the point of slashers. You're gonna get the stereotypes and the jump scares, and that's just kind of a part of the fun of it all. The game also moves at such a perfect pace. They introduce the killer on the loose super early on, and they put just enough info through posters and newspaper clippings, blood-stained messages on the walls to keep you on edge, and even like kind of showing you perspectives from them, and you don't really know who they are or what they are, but it adds to the horror of everything going on too. But yeah, that's mostly all you have to know about the game itself, so let's get into a bit of that comparison between the remake and the original. So I played through the remake first without refreshing my memory on what the original looked like, just to give it a fair chance. And I will admit that I didn't really have any problems with it because it looks good. It really plays well. The frame rate is really good. The snow looks great. The setting of the Blackwood Mountains looks really nice. And all of the lighting is super atmospheric. And yeah, it all is like really, really done well. The haptic feedback is also a huge addition to this that I think adds to the tension of everything. But when I went back to play the PS4 version, that's when I did realize some of the issues that I'm sure some people were having. First off, the original one still looks amazing today, and what it has in spades over the remake is a feeling of warmth and color, and to the point where it almost feels oversaturated after playing the remake. But I liked that richness of it that it has. It really adds like a ton of character to the setting and to the characters themselves by letting them just feel more human rather than looking overly perfect just for perfectionist's sake. Neither one of them is bad though. I still think there's a lot, of the remake that I prefer, and there's a lot in the original that I prefer. So yeah, that is Until Dawn. I might have to go out on a limb and say that this is one of my favorite games of all time because I genuinely could see me starting it right back up and playing through it all over again just because I love being in this world so much. But yeah, if you've played Until Dawn, I'd love to know what you thought of it. And just thank you all so much for watching this. I really hope you enjoyed the video. And until the next one, everyone, take care.